Hi again, dear ones. So, did you solve the worksheet? How was it? I think the lesson was easy. We were talking about patterns of nutrition in plants. We said that there are different ways that plants follow to get the energy they need from the food. We have green plants, producers, symbiotic plants, and carnivorous plants. In question number 1 in here, we have to observe the organisms shown in the figures and then write P if the figure shows a producer and C if it shows a consumer. Let's start with the snails. Snails are animals. They are organisms. They need food to get the energy they need to live. But do they produce their food or do they consume it? Do they eat it? They eat it. Perfect. So snails are consumer. C. Snails are animals. Animals are considered as consumers since they find their food and they consume it. What about bacteria? I did not talk about bacteria in the lecture note, so I'm going to talk about it right now. Bacteria are considered as decomposers. What do we mean by decomposers? Decomposers are organisms that decompose or that feed on dead material. Like when plants die, when animals die, we have organisms that come and feed on these dead organisms. And these animals are considered as decomposers. I will write it for you. Decomposer. So, bacteria are not producers, they cannot produce their own food, and they cannot consume it. Bacteria are decomposers. What about the cobra lily? If you go and search for this plant on the internet, you'll find that the cobra lily is a carnivorous plant. It is a green carnivorous plant. What did Miss Patton say about carnivorous plants? They can go through photosynthesis. They can produce their own food, but the food that they produce isn't enough. For this reason, they consume or they feed on animals. They are carnivorous plants. The cobra lily is a producer, but the food that it gets by producing it isn't enough. So it consumes insects. So the cobra lily is a producer and it is also a consumer. The geranium plant is a green plant, and we said that green plants take carbon dioxide from the air, they use water from the soil, they put them together and use the sunlight energy to cook a kind of sugar that they feed on through a food making process called photosynthesis. So this is a producer. In question number 2, we have to choose the correct answer. That is one correct answer. A. Which of the following obtains or takes all of its nutritional requirement from another living plant? It is taking all of its needs from another plant without giving back anything. Is it a producer? Do producers take things from other living plants? Is it a parasite or a symbiotic plant? What do you think? A parasite steals some or all of its needs from another living thing. A parasite is also a symbiotic organism, right? So both answers are correct. A symbiotic plant, like the mistletoe for example, can steal all of its nutritional needs from another living plant. A parasite does this too. B. What can result in a relationship in which both organisms benefit? Both organisms are happy. Let me remind you of the lichen. The lichen is a symbiotic plant. The alga and the mushroom are happy. Each of them is getting its needs from the other organism. This is a mutualistic relationship. During mutualism, both organisms benefit. They are both getting their needs from the other organism. C. A green plant that makes its own food by photosynthesis is called a parasite or a producer. What about green plants? Producers. Excellent. So, green plants are producers. They collect their needs from the nature and they produce. They go through a food making process that we call photosynthesis. They put carbon dioxide with water in the presence of sunlight energy to produce their own food. D. The process by which carbon dioxide is removed is taken from the atmosphere by living organisms is. Why do organisms take carbon dioxide from the air? Which organisms do that? Do we take carbon dioxide from the air? Do we need it? No, we don't. We take oxygen and we release carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide will be used by the plants to make their food. Great. So it is the photosynthesis process. During photosynthesis or the food making process, I will write the definition in here. The food making process that happens in green plants. During this process, plants take carbon dioxide from the air, they take water from the soil, and they use the sunlight energy to cook and produce their food. In this question, we want to cultivate chlorella, which is a type of alga found in the fresh water of pools and ponds. Look at the picture. To know the conditions, the best conditions in which the chlorella develops the best, we put it in culture in 3 containers placed in the light. In the first container, we put 1 liter of distilled water, which is a water without minerals. In the second container, we put a liter of distilled water but with a small quantity of minerals. In the third container, we put a liter of distilled water with a big quantity of minerals. Every 5 days, the number of chlorella is measured. The results are recorded in this table. In the first day, we had the same number of chlorella in each of the containers, 200 chlorella per container. Day 5, as you can see, in the first container, we lost 105 chlorella. They disappeared. They're dead. In the second one, we had 210, so we had 10 more chlorella. In the third one, 302 chlorella. Question A, indicate. We have to tell how the number of chlorella varies. Is it increasing or decreasing? Let's see. In the first container, let me color the number for you. In the first container, we were losing the chlorella. First day, 200. Then after 5 days, we had 95. After 5 days, at day 10, we had 36. And after 15 days, we had 5 chlorella only. There is something bad happening in here. We are losing the chlorella. They're dead. In the second container, we had 200 chlorella at the beginning. After 4th day, we gained 10 more. At day 10, we had 238. That means 38 more chlorella. After 15 days, we have 252. This means 200 and this means 52 more chlorella. Third one, At day 1, we had 200 chlorella. Day 5, 302. Day 10, 450. Day 15, 528. In container number 1, we were losing chlorella. This means that the number of chlorella was decreasing, right? We were losing the chlorellas. In container number 2, the number of chlorella was slowly increasing, right? We had more chlorella, but not too much. In the third one, we were making too much chlorella. 102 more chlorella in 5 days. And then after 10 days, we had double of the number and more than the double. 450 chlorella. Done. So in the third container, the number of chlorella was highly increasing. Why is that? Why is that happening? What was the difference? We gave the chlorellas light. We gave them water. The only difference is minerals. In the first container, we had no minerals at all. So chlorella starts dying. In the second one, we gave the chlorella a small amount of minerals. In the third one, a huge amount of minerals. This means that chlorella needs minerals. Excellent. So let's review. What did we give the chlorella? We placed them in the sun, right? We gave all of them water, and we gave all of them, not all of them, we gave them minerals. And we noticed that a good amount of minerals will help increase and develop the growth of chlorella. So, what are the necessary conditions for the good development of chlorella? We'll say chlorella needs light, water, and a sufficient, a good amount of minerals to grow healthy. While explaining the lesson, I gave you a quick information about the mistletoe plants. Let's see them in this question. Australia is home to some of the world's most mistletoe species. The Australian Christmas tree that is shown in the figure belongs to the mistletoe family. What about this family? Since photosynthesis alone couldn't provide enough food for the plant to grow, this plant forms connections to the roots of green plants such as grasses through which it steals nutrients. So, the mistletoe plant or the mistletoe, the Australian Christmas tree, can go through photosynthesis, right? But they are saying that photosynthesis or the food that the plant is making isn't enough. So what does the plant do? It steals nutrients from other green plants like the grasses. Question A. Australian Christmas trees are producers. They are telling us they are producers. How can we justify this? Let me underline the sentence. Is the plant going through the food making process? Yes, well done. The Australian Christmas tree goes through photosynthesis to produce its food. But this food isn't enough, right? So the Australian Christmas tree is a producer. Yes. Determine. When they ask us to determine, we have to justify and to explain our answers. What is the type of relationship between the Australian Christmas tree and green plants? What did they say? This plant, the Australian Christmas tree, makes connections to the roots to of green plants, and it steals its nutrients. This means that the mistletoe tree is a parasite. That's right. So, this is parasitism. This is a parasitic relationship. Why is that? The Australian is the parasite stealing nutrients from the host, which is the green plants. The Australian Christmas tree benefits from this relationship, right? Green plants are harmed, isn't it? Why? Green plants are harmed. So, in a parasitic relationship, one organism benefits and the other is harmed. There is something bad happening to the second organism. One of them is happy, the second one is sad. So this is parasitism. The relationship between the Australian Christmas tree and green plants is a parasitic relationship. The Australian Christmas tree is the parasite and the green plants are the host. And during parasitism, one organism benefits, the second one is harmed, isn't happy. What about the relationship between barnacles and whales? Let me read the text. Barnacles are small sea creatures, small animals that live on the backs and bellies of whales. They take two basic benefits from this relationship. When the whales swim into plankton-rich waters to feed, they feed on plankton. They eat plankton. Protection from predators is another benefit. They get protected from other organisms, from predators. Who is the host in here? The host is the whale. The whales. The whales are the hosts. What are two benefits that barnacles take from their relationship with the whale? Let me underline the sentences. First of all, when the whales swim into a place, into waters rich in plankton, barnacles feed on plankton. So they go to places where there is lots of food, right? And also they get protected from predators, from organisms that may eat them. So, benefit, first benefit, they swim, or they go with the whales to plankton, which waters where they can feed on plankton. Second one, they get protected from predators. Determine or give the name, there's no determining here. Give the name of the relationship between barnacles and waves. In this relationship, the barnacles benefit. They go to places where there is lots of food, they get protected from predators, but whales do not notice. They get nothing from this relationship. They aren't harmed, and also they don't benefit anything. So, one, what do we call the relationship where one organism benefits but the second one does not care at all? Commensalism. Good job. Commensalism. In commensalistic relationship, one organism is happy and the second one doesn't care. It gets nothing from this relationship. Well done. Bye bye. If you still have any questions, we will answer them and we will discuss them during the Zoom session.